Hey guys, Don here. Welcome to Podiatry Practice Mastery. In this video, I'm going to talk to Jill Young about EOS, and there's a good book called Traction written by the founder, Gino. And what you might find interesting is that it's a way of evaluating your business every 90 days, very similar to Strategic Coach, which I'm in. You evaluate your life every 90 days. This is kind of a transition to your business. So something you might want to look at, you might be interested in helping your business get better. I think you'll enjoy this interview where she kind of goes through this whole process. A little bit at the end, I think it gets a little bit cut off, but I'll put resources underneath if you want to learn more about Jill. Okay, guys, great, thanks. Hello and welcome to Podiatry Practice Mastery. My name is Don Pelto, and today I have the privilege of having Jill Young from EOS here. Welcome, Jill. Thank you.
Hey, Donald. How are you? Good to see you again.
Good to see you. We met, I think it was a couple of months ago now at one of the Strategic Coach kind of events and things like that. And I'm glad we got to catch up. So tell me, and those that are listening, you're talking to a group of podiatrists, and most of us have our own businesses. We're entrepreneurs. And what is kind of EOS, and what do you do there, and why are you so passionate about it?
Sure. So EOS, just in its very most simple form, is just a set of very simple, practical business tools that every entrepreneur needs to run their business. Now, I'm sure that you guys running your businesses, you've read lots of business books. What we've done at EOS is we've condensed all of the best tools and we've made them very, very simple for entrepreneurial companies to run on. Because quite frankly, when we go read those business books, sometimes we read those and we think, how in the world could we ever incorporate that into our business? It's too complex. It gets frustrating. Maybe it's even over our heads. It can't be under our feet, right? Is that a funny podiatrist book? I'm gonna try. I love puns. We might get a few of those today. But when we read those books, or even hire consultants sometimes, that they bring in these complicated formulas and we try them for a little while and just, quite frankly, nothing works for entrepreneurial businesses. So this system, the entrepreneurial operating system, we pulled all the levers for you. There's 13,000 companies running on EOS right now because it works. So just in a nutshell, when I say it works, what does it really do for you? It does three main things. We call those three things vision, traction, healthy. Vision from the standpoint of when you opened this business, you had a vision. You had a vision for your life, you had a vision for your practice, and we've got to get everyone in that practice on the same page with that vision. Traction from the standpoint of then taking that vision, bringing it back down to the ground, because really a dream, a vision without a plan is just hallucination.
Yep.
And we don't want that. We've got enough of that going on, right? Am I right? We're already entrepreneurs. We've got enough hallucination going on.
Little bright, shiny objects. We all get distracted.
Yes, we do. So this traction component, bringing the vision to the traction, is just all of those very simple, basic disciplines and tools that we all know we should be doing, and we just aren't. Either we get tired, or how we've been taught is just too complex.
They're boring because
boring.
Boring. You just do the same thing. So you have to delegate or have someone else do it for you, but you have to look at it.
Yes, sometimes those things are just boring. And I'm glad you brought up delegate, because these, vision, traction, healthy, it really helps put you, the podiatrist, the entrepreneur, in your exact right seat. And we help everybody else in the practice get in their exact right seat. So then pretty soon we've got vision running through the company where we're all headed in the right direction. Traction, we're all getting the things done that we need to get done every day. So we're making progress to that vision. But then the third one here is healthy. So we're communicating, we're having some fun together. We're building a great culture to where we really retain the right people in the right seats. And eventually, just, Donald, you and all of your other podiatrist friends, the ultimate goal of running on EOS is to help you get everything you want out of your business. Because quite frankly, there's just too many entrepreneurs out there running like crazy. They think they're making progress. They look back and they're like, I'm not where I want to be. So that's what we do.
Now, Jill, how does this differ from, let me just give an example of a practice. How, like just having, is it like an office manager? Is it like a seat in the office that they're there forever for a period of time? Is it like, how does it different than a manager? Because a manager they don't know how to do everything that you talked about. And I think as entrepreneurs, like we can read this book, and I think Gerber talked a lot about like we get this entrepreneurial flair. Oh, I'm going to do what's in this book. I'm going to do what's in this book. I'm going to do what's in this book. And they're all good ideas, but there's nothing contextualized.
Right, bringing them all together. And there's there's one big distinction that we'll make right here is what I have access to is a system. So that's the entrepreneurial operating system. It's EOS for short. Sometimes people will call it traction because in the book Traction by Gino Wickman, it describes the entrepreneurial operating system. So you think of this almost as like a computer system, right? An operating system. iOS if you have an iPhone, Android if you have all the others. So it's a system. Now, how do you get that system lived throughout the whole entire company? Well, that's where the human comes in. So it's not an office manager, like you said, they don't have all those skills. So I'm human, right? I'm human, and I deliver the system.
Okay.
And what you call me is I am an entrepreneurial operating system implementer. Mm-hmm. So I work with you and your leadership team. I have 500 other.
I was going to say, it's not just you, Jill. It might be a lot of who's that are like you. Okay.
That's right. I've got 500 other EOS implementers. I happen to be the head coach of the organization, so I know all of those 500. And we, do our best to train everybody and get everybody up to speed. But what we do is we bring the system to you, and through what we call a proven process, we know entrepreneurs. We know which tools to add to your practice first. So we will follow a very, very defined system. And Donald, you and your other podiatrist friends, you're going to push back on me and the other implementers, and you'll say, "Oh, I don't want to do that first. I want to do this other fun thing first." And we're going to say, "Nope." We're going to hold your feet to the fire. So because we've done this 13,000 times, we know which tools come first. It's a spatial learning program, so we're not going to go too fast, not too slow. But really, the entire process does take about 2 years to work into a practice like yours, because there's habits we're changing. There's mindsets we're changing. I know you and I, Donald, we love mindsets.
Yeah.
Mindsets we're changing. There's cultures we're changing. And really, I almost want to rewind, because I'm not the one that's going to change those mindsets. You are. I'm going to offer them to you, but you're going to do the work. I'm just going to be your coach and help you get it done, for sure.
Wow. Share some stories of maybe some practices you've worked with, kind of how it's changed things. The typical, like, "Oh, I don't want to do this." Is it the reason they don't want to do it? They don't know about it? Is it they think it's cost too much? Is it too much work? What are some of those stories?
Yeah, actually, I wrote a book that is full of stories. So if you guys want to write this one down,
I'll put a link to it.
Yeah, the book is called The Courage Advantage. The Courage Advantage. It's second in a series of 3 so far. But in this book, I put tons of stories about successes and failures of companies running on EOS, and a lot of them, not a lot of them, but I just got really curious about there were lots of companies starting to implement this system, and it worked, right? I keep mentioning 13,000 times and growing. I'm sure there's some companies starting to run on EOS right now that I don't know about. But as companies start to run on EOS, what we noticed is some of them, not a lot, but a handful, would just quit. They would just quit. And I thought, gosh, I'm giving them the same training, the same coaching. These are smart people. Like, what was it that where it didn't work? And I want to use those to answer your question of kind of what are the frustrations, and maybe if your podiatrist friends are thinking about running on EOS, watch out for these, and hopefully you can have like a heads up. The first one that people get frustrated with, and sometimes will just quit. and this is hard, but it's really the courage to be disciplined.
We don't like to be accountable.
No, and the accountability, this might be a fun thing to noodle on or think about in your journaling time. The accountability is easy when your commitment to discipline is there. And it's, maybe everybody can take a moment to think about it. I certainly am going to take a moment to think about it, because I think that's the first time I've ever said it that way.
Nice.
But the disciplines, we know what your companies should be doing every week. Now, I'm not going to, we need to look at our numbers weekly. I'm not going to tell you what numbers to work with, because I'm not the smart person in the room. You guys are. Mm-hmm. But I do know that when entrepreneurial companies and leadership teams will look at a handful of numbers every week and ask themselves, is that number on track or off track? And if it's off track, if they will start to solve that issue, they're going to move the company forward. But sometimes just that feels weird. Like, oh, I'm looking at numbers every week, and I'm looking at them in front of other people. I'm not hiding them. Donald, before we had this phone call, you mentioned maybe, is there a skeleton in the closet?
Yeah.
We're not hiding those things. So it's just the discipline and the courage, really, because sometimes we're a little bit afraid to say, here's our numbers and they don't look so good. But to just get through that, get over that barrier of just being disciplined to the simple tools. And some entrepreneurs, maybe they have, fear and courage. Sometimes they're on the opposite ends of the spectrum. Maybe they just can't get over that fear to be disciplined.
That's a good one. Wow. It sounds like because I've read Traction. I think a lot of people that are listening have probably read it, and we read it, and we read all these other books. What I like, it's very similar to Strategic Coach, where we reevaluate every 90 days for our personal lives. And this is like reevaluating every 90 days for our business lives.
Yes.
And that accountability. And you guys have these wonderful meetings that you guys have developed. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that, or what else you want to talk about that you think would benefit.
Sure. Well, when you start running on EOS, the first thing you'll do is you have a 90-minute meeting. And this is just for you and your leadership team, if you have one, and your implementer. So whoever you would choose as a coach like me, an implementer. And for 90 minutes, we just show you the whole system. That way, again, getting a little bit over your fear of discipline, you can say, you know what, we're going to go for this. We're going to do this, or we're not. And that's really our first session. That's this meeting you're talking about. If that works for you, if you really can see yourself running on EOS, if you want to be, disciplined, but also get to that clear vision, traction, and healthy, then you start into what we call a focus day. And this focus day, different from a focus day that you and I know, Donald, but this focus day is to get you and your team very focused on those tools that are going to drive that discipline and accountability. So we will do this focus day. We also have a meeting called a vision building day. We have vision building day 1, vision building day 2. Now, those are all full day sessions, and I'm not going to go over everything that we do in there. But like I said, it's very disciplined in the tools that we use. Then we get into what you're talking about, Donald. This is the 90-day world. We call it the 90-day world. And it's just this magical thing that I don't know why humans work this way, but every 90 days, we have a tendency to get distracted, confused, off track. And it's just because we're human.
Yeah.
Some of the people listening to this podcast may think, well, that I don't do that. I can stay disciplined. But I just like you to own your humanness and just really ask yourself, those 1-year goals I set for myself, like, do I really keep those on track? Or do I change my mind often? So in those every 90 days, in that 90-day meeting pulse that we call it, every 90 days, we're getting together and really simple. Remember, I said everything is simple in EOS. We're looking back over the last 90 days, and in a very truthful yet positive way, we're saying, what happened? did we hit our measurables? Did we hit our quarterly priorities? We call those rocks. Are we on track for our vision? Is everyone hitting their numbers? We celebrate. We're like, awesome. That's what happened last 90 days. But then we do this really cool thing where we extract all the lessons learned. So the 90
transformer, yeah.
Exactly. That past 90 days is the 90 days we extract all those lessons. We get clear around our vision again, because again, sometimes we get distracted or confused. And then we say, okay, well, with all of that we've learned, what are we going to do for the next 90 days? And that's it in a nutshell. That's the agenda. Essentially, there's a few other little things in there, but that's the gist of those 90 days.
Great. Thank you, Jill, for your help on this interview. I'll put some more information if they want to learn more about you underneath the description of this video, and wish you all the best. Thanks.